Hello, Joe. How are you this week?
I'm good. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. It's good to see you. And what's
Yes.
the weather like up in New South Wales?
It was 27 degrees today.
My
Mm,
God.
it was like summer. We had a barbecue dinner,
Go
living
you.
my best life.
It's been freezing here, Joe. It's terrible. I
Oh,
think yesterday it was like -2 degrees. That was the feeling with the wind. It was -2, and that was daytime. It's craziness.
I think you need to come
Such
and
is
live in
life.
New South Wales, Dale.
This is the country we live in anyway, so that's what we do. So
Yes,
what are we talking
yes.
about this week, Joe? What are we doing this week?
Well, today we might talk about all different ways we sabotage. And,
Ah,
lots of the different ways we sabotage is actually a hidden or excuses or, mm,
yes, and they go around in loops. They think, oh, yes,
yes,
I want to get out, want to get out. And it's like, oh, no, I'm safe in that loop. And they just play this loop over.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
How do you find when somebody comes in and they're in that loop that they're
Hmm.
self-sabotaging all the time? How do you try
Yes.
and nudge them out? How do you try and say, come on, mate, let's get past this. Let's get beyond this.
Yes. Sometimes I'll do it really subtly, like, and,
Hmm.
if they're very sensitive, it might take me a few sessions just to kind of, warm them up to be
Yeah.
able to build that trust to tell them, oh, you think this is, you know,
Yeah.
sabotage.
Yeah.
Other times, if I feel like they can accept it, I'll say it straight away.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll ask them a question. Do you think that, this is serving you well? And often they'll be like, no. It's particularly if someone keeps picking a person that is like, or out of reach or
Oh,
a
yes.
bad guy or,
Yes. And that's funny because there's a pattern and they just
mm,
keep repeating the pattern. And it's like, what are you not seeing here? You're looking, just look at what you're doing and look at how your relationship might be ending. And yet you're going back to do it again and
yes,
again. And it's like, try and break the pattern, peeps. And sometimes I say to my customers, it's because you haven't finished learning the lessons, maybe, and you've got to, go through it again. But more
yes,
times than not, I say, stop. Let's not rush into anything now. Let's dissect the last bit so
yes,
that we can work out why you're doing these patterns, why
yes.
you keep repeating yourself. What are you not seeing that you need to see? It's very interesting.
Very, very. I feel like that patterning of choosing the wrong person, that's the hardest pattern to really let go of.
Yeah. And that
You know,
it's because they become comfortable, Joe, with that type of behavior, that type of person. Does that
yes,
make sense? So when somebody's in
yes,
integrity and they're soft and joyful and happy and the relationship is harmonious, they're waiting for something to go, this isn't right. This doesn't feel good.
yes.
I'm used to being in a narcissistic relationship, or I'm used to being put down all the time, or whatever it might be, having to do everything.
Yes, very much so. So sometimes I've got ladies that will come to me and they go, he's just boring. And I go, no, he's not boring. And sometimes this also takes back, if you take it a step further, it's often because they may have had a turbulent relationship with a parent. And
Hmm.
so this is as a child, this is how we learn with relationships. So, it's often when I take it a step back and go, do you think you had a parent that was, similar to them? And they'll go, oh, yeah,
Yeah, it happens a lot. And then sometimes it's like you married your mother, you married your father because
yes,
that was the behavior that you knew. But guess what? This person's not your mother or your father, it's your partner. And you've got to
yes,
start, changing the way you look at how you're dealing with that and change yourself. And yeah, it's a very interesting process. And people sabotage themselves all the time. Like fear of success is another one.
yes,
So they're not allowing themselves to shine. They'll take it to a certain level and it's like, come on,
mm,
you're at the precipice of something big, let's go. And they retract
yes,
and they just
yes,
pull it right back in. And it's like, why do you have a fear of success? Why do you feel like you're not worthy of success? So then
yes.
when that happens, Joe, I always say to my customers, let's play a little game. And viewers, remember this little game. It's called What's the Worst That Can Happen? So if you're building something up, building something up, building something up, you've got this great idea for success or career or whatever, and then all of a
Yes,
sudden you pull the pin on it. And I was like, no, stop. What's the worst that can happen? That you might get $1 million, you might get $20 million, you might be the happiest of your lifetime. What's the worst that can happen? That you try and then nothing happens and you go back to, okay, everyday life. I said, but if you don't try, you'll get to the last day of your lifetime with a lot of regret because it's like, yeah, I should have tried that, should have done that, should have done that, but I didn't do any of it because I was fearful of success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or they pick goals that they're never going to achieve. You
Yes.
know, and their self-belief system isn't connected to that either. So therefore, they constantly will feel sad because they never achieve anything.
Yeah.
So
And yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting
So it's
because it really is. And we were doing this week in my class with my students, like the heart mind balance. And too many people are up here and they're not allowing
very much.
themselves to come into the heart space. They're not allowing themselves to feel. Does that make sense?
Mm,
And they've really got to align both of those elements so
yeah.
that they can feel empowered. They can actually feel like, you know what, my heart feels like this is a good thing to do. My head's
Mm,
now on board. Let's go with that. Let's make it happen. Let's create
mm,
something. So it's interesting that when I teach these things, that I see the relevance, and then what it comes up in our discussion or everyday healings or readings with people. It's like you've got to break this cycle, and it's very
yeah.
uncomfortable to break the cycle because you're pushing yourself out of being comfortable. And when
Mm,
you're uncomfortable, that's when your growth happens. And it's like we want everybody to grow and develop. So yeah, it's
yes.
very, very interesting. I have a client, and she can't be by herself. She struggles with being by herself, and I just say to her, sweetie, you've been in 3 relationships. And I say to her, you've never been single. You've never
Mm,
been alone. You don't even know who you are. And I said,
yeah.
that's a part of the problem that you think that I'm not enough, that I need somebody to complete me. I said, no, 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 no. What you need to do is find you first. Find
Yeah.
you, love you,
Yeah.
own you.
Yes.
I said, and then when you can do that and you love you 100%, then you'll attract somebody at a higher vibration that wants to be with you because you love you and they're happy with that. They're
Yeah.
secure in themselves. Let's move forward.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really interesting that sometimes people that don't want to do the work find themselves in these spirals that
Yes.
create a lot of trauma for themselves, and they don't have to.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's like it serves them well to sabotage because then that's their excuse not to be successful.
Correct. They play that victim mentality,
Very much.
and that's their belief. I know people that are very happy to stay at home and not go places, and it's like you're wasting a lifetime. Get out and
Yes.
see. Even if you just go for a walk around the block, and I went for a walk the other day and I saw this beautiful like a marigold coming out of the concrete. And
Oh.
it was just like, look at you pushing against the odds. There's this little crack in the concrete. This marigold says, you know what? I'm going for it. Let's go. Bang. And it's just like, but you
Yes.
don't see that. If you're stuck at home living in fear or whatever,
Yes.
you're not living your most fulfilled life. And you've got to feel really empowered, fulfilled, and all of those things to have the best life. So I try and push people. I really try and show them a different way of thinking so that they
Mm,
push. And then that makes them uncomfortable. But then something shifts and then they get it. It's like, I should have been doing this a long time ago.
mm, mm. Absolutely. And you can get stuck in a little comfort zone so easily. And
Correct.
it's, often I'll go, always test myself every week. What have I done this week that's new, you know, or uncomfortable to stretch myself a bit?
Yeah. How have I pushed myself to do more? Even if it's like for me, what I try and do is I do a walk every day, and it's like, let me try and get 20 seconds off that walk. Let me see if I can achieve that. How does that look? How does that feel? Today I went for a walk. It was amazing. Because it was in and out of the shower. So I picked a time and it didn't rain. But then I saw one of my clients that I hadn't seen in a few years. Chat, 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 chat. It's like there goes today's time trial. But it was joyful because I'm out. I'm having a chat with her, and we just got on with life.
Yes.
In my head, it's the universe saying, "You don't need to do that time trial today, Charles. Just get on with socializing and connecting and being that
Yes.
light that others need to see."
Yes. And sometimes sabotage can also be physical, like where, when you get people, this is especially for school teachers, and they'll get sick every holidays.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like they've programmed their body to get sick in the
Bingo.
holidays.
Bingo. They've
Mm,
programmed their mind. So their mindset becomes, oh, the children aren't there. I'm going to get sick now. And
mm,
I'm not saying that there's not a lot of germs in schools and kinders and all of that sort of stuff, but they
yes.
need to shift that mindset that, oh, I'm going to have a break. So my body's a good body and it's going to,
Yes.
be healthy through that break.
Yes.
They've got to shift that because otherwise they're just playing that program that I'm just going to work. and do
Yes.
nothing and work and do nothing. And it's like, wouldn't you rather work and then go on a holiday to the tropics or to a
Yes.
beach or
Yes.
to the snow or something instead
Yes.
of letting my body fail?
Yes.
It's really interesting, Joe, that we've discussed this sabotage because there's a lot of different ways that people will sabotage
Mm.
themselves. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. They play these scripts in their mind,
Yes.
and it's just like if you believe that, and if you say that to yourself, you're going to create that for yourself. So if you feel like I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving of a relationship, meh, 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 you're going to create that. So you've got to
Abs-
not get there. Change the
yes.
mindset.
Absolutely. You know, one day I had two lady clients back to back, and one lady was on the train, and the man who sat next to her had an erection and slightly was rubbing his leg against her leg, and she froze and she couldn't get up.
Yeah,
Now, that lady, and it was bad. I'm not
yeah,
discounting
very
the discomfort
uncomfortable.
she felt.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh, but her choice was then she left her job, couldn't work anymore. It was all too much for her. She lost her house because she couldn't pay her
wow,
mortgage repayments. So her life became very bad, because she allowed that one moment to really encapsulate her whole life, really. The lady after her had been, I want to say, captured and held against her will for 4 days and
oh wow,
had been raped and whatever. Uh, when she it was very bad because she said I had to have corrective surgery. So that's pretty very
horrific.
bad, horrific. But she said when I was rescued and on the way, she said I was determined not to let that ruin my life or take a hold of me. So, and she said there were dark days, but she turned it in where she became a psychologist, and she then now helps rape victims and traumatize women. And so it's just interesting how on the way home I thought, gosh, how could two similar-ish but not similar, but how people's mindset can take that and you know what I'm saying? And I'm not
Look,
discounting the first lady,
no.
but
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 if that first client of yours had have just said, instead of me getting the train, maybe I need to drive to work.
empower
Get out of that
myself.
mindset. Do you know what I mean? How do I feel comfortable? Okay, let me just drive to work for the next month to put that out of my head, and I'll come back and gain trust in humanity, and then I'll come back to the train.
Yes.
No, she'd let it. It was debilitating for her, the poor thing, and
Mm,
it controlled her life. And she's got to realize that's not everybody's experience.
no.
Stand on the train, don't sit, stand, or go and sit next to a
Yes.
woman or whatever it might be. It's hard
Yes.
that people play these programs and they let them cripple them.
Yes. The other one that I see a lot is when someone's gone through a divorce and
Hmm.
then that's it. They can't ever own a home again and they're going to be, all because of that divorce. And it might have been a 50-50 split or whatever, but they're so bitter about it that that's their story now for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what
Mm.
sabotage does, Joe. It brings out that victim
Yes.
mentality. Instead of them
Yes.
saying, you know what, I'm 50, I'm going to create it, let's go, let me do it, however that looks, they'll go, oh,
Yes.
I can't do it, it's too hard. And it's not too hard, it's just they're choosing not to do it. They're choosing not to
Yes.
start. They're not choosing to look for an alternative. Apartments are
Yeah.
cheaper than houses. Go and buy an apartment. There's
Yeah.
different things that people can do, but they like to, it's because if they sit in victim, they feel pitied. And people think,
Mm.
oh, woe is you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Rah, rah, rah. And they actually feed off that empathy that others are giving them. Instead of them saying,
Yes.
no, 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 I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to find me a way that I can actually make this work for myself. That's what they should be saying. How do I make myself
Absolutely.
better? How do I make the best out of this situation so I can get on with my life? Because
Yes.
that holds you in a vibration that keeps you stuck in life.
Absolutely. And this lady, and I'm no financial advisor in any way, but I kept saying to the lady, but if you buy an investment property for 3 years, then you can live in it and you'll be able to do it that way. I don't want someone to live in my house. And I went, well, that's the way at 50 because we don't have enough years to pay it back
Yes.
on our, you know,
Yes. And see, you're giving her a solution, but see,
yeah,
victim mentality finds you a block. And that's what I
Yes.
find a lot. When people are so entrenched and so ingrained in that
Yes.
mindset, instead of them taking it on board and saying, that's a great idea, Joe, the first thing
Mm,
you get is, can't do it. Somebody's going to live in my house, they'll trash it before I get into it. Then it's going to cost me more money to fix it. They're
mm.
always, see, this is where people, I find people are more negative in their thought processing
Yes.
instead
Yes.
of being positive. That's a great idea, Joe. And even if they trash it at the end, I can get a new kitchen from it. I can get a new paint, new carpet,
Yes.
new floor, whatever it is. That's
Yes.
that's what we have to try and help people with, shifting that mindset from being a negative thinker to
Mm,
a positive thinker. How can I shift that to what's the best that can happen here? Like your lady that had all of that trauma, that had to go through the surgery. You know what? I'm going to use this experience and help others that might have a similar experience or maybe not as harsh experience because I understand it. That's
mm.
power. That woman's very powerful because she's not letting the issue define her. She's
Yes.
using that issue to help others. That's powerful.
Yes.
That's the key to sabotaging yourself. Don't use your situation to define who you are. Don't give yourself that label. Rise
No.
above it. Find the positive in every situation. This is what I say to people all the time, Joe. Where's the positive in that situation?
Mm.
And they look at me like I'm an idiot. And it's like, what do you mean there's a positive here? I said, there's always a positive in everything we go through.
Absolutely.
And it's just you got to find it.
Yes.
You've got to find it. I'll give you an example of that. And people will look at me and go, you're an idiot. It's like, not really. I had a woman come to me and she'd just been diagnosed with breast cancer and she was a personal trainer. I said, how good is that for you? I said, because what you're going to do is connect with a level of people and you can bring them on this journey with you on how using fitness in your recovery might speed up your recovery, it might speed up the process of your healing. And as a personal
Yes.
trainer, you're very much inclined to be mindful of your diet and what you're popping into your body. So you could use this as a very positive experience, which would really help your business because you can connect to a level of people that might be having a similar experience and you can help guide them. And she goes, oh my
Yes.
God, you're the first person that I've spoken to that hasn't felt pity for me. You're the first person that gave me an opportunity to look at this with very fresh eyes because I could quite clearly say to her, this is not something that you need to worry about. I did a healing on her. No, but this is an opportunity for you to
Yeah.
take this higher for yourself. So heal yourself and push you higher, but help then
Yes.
open the door for other women that are going through the same thing. Here's the roadmap. I can help you do it. And she took it on
Yeah.
board. God love her. And that's why I say to people, find the positive wherever you can, whatever that looks like, find it.
Mm. Absolutely. And often I find that sabotage can run in families.
Yes,
So, if you ask a few more questions to the clients that you're seeing, you can see that there's a pattern.
yes.
So often I kind of go to a lady, for example, would you like your children to experience the same? And she'll go, no. And I go, we need to change your way you talk to your children and
And that's the
reprogram
key.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the key. I did the same thing, Joe. What are your parents like? And you can
Mm.
see that. You can see it come down the line. The same behaviors come down the line. Then
Yes.
you'll get somebody that's really positive. It's like, you know what? I'm not doing this for my children. I'm actually changing who I am because I want it to
Correct.
stop with me. And it's like, go you. Let's help you do that. Let's help you motivate yourself so that you can catch yourself when you're saying something negative or spiteful or whatever, and you change that thought. And I've had so many beautiful clients that have been able to do that. They understand it's not an easy process, but they have to catch what their mind thinks. And it's like, I'm
Mm.
not thinking that anymore. I'm changing that. So you can see, yeah, family lines, it's learned behaviors and it becomes ingrained in people because that's all they
Yes.
know. That's what my parents did.
Yes.
That's what their parents did. And that's the line. That's what we follow
Yes.
until they realize there's a better way. And when they
Yeah.
change themselves, what they're actually doing is opening the doorway for more beautiful things to come into their worlds. That's what they've got to
Absolutely.
realize. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes, look, we all have negative moments in our lives, without a doubt, or days or whatever. And that's where, when I can feel a negative thought come in, I'll just like go cancel that thought. No, that doesn't serve me. I think you
Yeah.
say something similar.
Yeah, I do. I try and look at it. It's like, no, I'm not doing that today. And then I'll
Yeah,
distract my mind. Let me look at the clouds. What are the trees doing? Are there any flowers in the front garden? What's going on? And all of a sudden, my mind's going, he doesn't want to think that anymore because he's just going to disregard it. And we're just going to
yeah,
look at the clouds and it stops doing it. You're
yes,
training your mind not to think these things. And even if you do think it, it can be a case of, I'm not dealing with that today, pushing it out,
Yeah.
pushing it out.
Something, a lady that gets, oh, I would say a bit of anxiety, something, and that's a learnt thing to, so then she doesn't have a good time if she's at a party or somewhere. So the other day I said to her, when you start to feel that happening, just say, look around the room and go, I need to find three things or four things that start with A. And so it diverts her brain and her neuro pathway into going down, oh, I'm going to have a panic attack. So she said, oh my God, I thought you were crazy when you said that to me. She said, but it really worked.
Distraction's a great thing, Joe. Distraction's
Yeah.
amazing because you're interrupting that thinking process. Because I've got to go and find now four things that start with A, whatever that might be. Oh, there's an apple in the corner, or,
Yeah.
whatever. And I think that's really, really powerful. And the other thing that I suggest to a lot of people is when they start to feel this self-sabotage and stuff like that, their breathing gets out of whack. And it's like you
Yes.
got to slow yourself down a little bit and calm down and then come back to breathing. So, I just say to them, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, release for 4. And then that
Yes.
way it centers you and it's like, now let's put that back into perspective. Because when the breathing is really shallow, they're not getting enough oxygen, and it makes the mind go faster and faster and faster. And it's like,
Yes.
slow yourselves down. You're sabotaging yourself by getting all anxious over nothing. Calm it
Mm.
down, and then let's look at it from a calmer perspective. Or go outside, breathe the air, sit on the ground, and then look at it from a perspective. Because Mother Earth is really going to turn your head off.
Oh, absolutely. Very much so. The other thing I like to do is I call it the pink balloon technique.
Hmm.
So it's like when they know they're going to do something that's not good for them or a pattern that they've created. I kind of go somewhere where like a disabled toilet where you're a bit private, if that makes sense. And it's
Yep.
like with it in breath, you're going to collect all of that anger, frustration, sabotage, whatever it is. And then you're going to imagine in your mind's eye, you're going to blow it into a pink balloon. So you're collecting it, blowing it out, and then it's like it's in your hand, and you're going to give it to. I always say Archangel Michael to convert it into positive healing energy, but it's just like trying to state change them because
Yes.
you don't want that churning in their body, because that's negative energy and they're
Correct.
sitting
And
in the
that's
shit
that
pit.
that's I love that. That's what I do with my breathing too. I breathe it in
Yeah.
and I just say to the universe, I'm breathing in positivity.
Mm.
Breathing out any negativity that's sitting inside me because I don't need it anymore. Release, and
Yes.
out it comes.
Yes.
So yeah, see, we're on the same track, and we want to
Yes.
help people that have sabotage or they sabotage themselves with
Yes.
patterns and stuff. And it's just a case for them. They've got to feel comfortable. They've got to feel comfortable, and they've got to want to change. They've got to want to break free.
Yes.
So we're happy to help people that do self-sabotage or find themselves in a wheel that's just going around and repeating the same cycles. Ask for their help and then we'll help you, but you've got to do the work.
Yes. Yes. And the other thing that I find sabotage is when they've always got something wrong in their life. So, they don't like their job, then they don't like their partner. They can't just have a time in their life where it's smooth,
Yes, yes.
they've got to find
I
something to focus on that's negative or,
Yeah. And how do you feel? Let's flip it a little bit. So anybody that plays victim mode or is stuck in a routine, how does it feel, Joe, when you get negative Nelly and it's like, this doesn't work in my life, and he was rude to me, and this one looked at me the wrong way, and I went and got my hair cut and I hated it. How does that feel on the receiving end of that?
I don't hang out with those people.
Same. It is a downer. It is an absolute downer because they're heavy. Their energy is heavy. And it's like,
Mm,
so if you're finding yourself in this victim mindset, be aware that people might not want to spend their energy with you, spend their time with you because you're
yeah.
bringing them down. It's not it's not the best way to be.
No, no, not at all. And
No.
and that's another thing when people go, no one wants to be my friend, and I go, would you want to be your friend?
That's exactly what I say to them too. Look at your mindset. Why would anybody
Mm,
want to hang around with you when all you do is pick them to pieces, pick your life to pieces? It's negative. And what they're probably finding is they're trying to uplift you and you're just rejecting their help. And it's like, and it gets to a point, I can only help you so much before I've got to walk away. And that's what
yes.
most people will do. So look at it like that, guys. If you're stuck in a routine or you're sabotaging yourself with negative mindsets, if you find yourself lonely, it's because nobody wants to be in that heavy energy. So start looking at how can I look at life differently? How can I see it differently? How can I sort of see what everybody else might be seeing that I can't see. And it's okay to
Yeah.
ask for help. It really is. Joe can help you. I can help you because it's about
Yeah.
perception. How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? What do you expect
Yes.
for yourself? We can see you in your highest potentials. You just don't see those potentials. And that's how we can help you. If you're sabotaging yourself in life with relationships, and look, there's addictions, alcohol, drugs. People use those addictions to suppress their emotional feelings. And then you're sabotaging yourself from moving forward. What that will
Mm.
create for you is illness in your body. Okay. You don't want to do that. There's other sabotages. You don't trust people because you've
Overspending.
been hurt. It just grows, Joe, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anywhere where it keeps you in a certain spot, like a limiting spot, that's where you want to really observe yourself because, even with me, I can sometimes get uncomfortable, especially when I'm doing something new,
Yes.
and I kind of can get all flustered. But then I keep going to myself, just one little step at a time. And yes, we don't know what we're doing, but keep going until you know better, and then do better, and then just keep progressing. You
Correct.
know,
And being
mm.
flustered is being human.
Yeah,
Okay, because you're pushing yourself to be uncomfortable, which is you invoking yourself with growth. I've got a beautiful customer and I'm holding her hand through her changing her life as such. And she's amazing. And I've said to her, you need to do you. So focus on you. And she's really doing that. And now what she's actually doing is in her past relationships, she's starting to find out, she's starting to see what I used to see. And she's picking them to pieces. And it's like, go you. That's what you need to start doing. Look at the behaviors from your partners, how that hasn't
yeah,
helped you, how they haven't invested in you, and
yeah,
you don't see the benefit of you being amazing. You don't see the benefit of you being you, and they're just trying to tear you down. So this beautiful soul is doing such amazing work that she's lifting out of it. She's going, oh my goodness, I can see it now. I can see that they weren't appreciating anything I was doing for them. They were just
no,
looking at it for themselves. I said, good. Now that you're rising, and this is the key, now that when you rise up, you're going to attract people at a higher level. You're not going to attract
yes,
these people that want to pull you down. And that's what I said to her.
absolutely,
And she's starting to understand that. And it takes time. There's lots of tears, there's lots of hand holding. But if you do the work, it can happen, it can create. You just got to
yes.
try. You just
And
got
I
to
often,
try.
absolutely, and it's also a little bit of like chessboard management, especially in relationships. You make a move, they have to make a move, and if they don't make a move, well, then guess what? They're not your person.
Correct. Correct.
So,
I often say to people, Joe, give them 10% and see if they match your 10%, see if they give you more back. And then if they give you more back, it's like, okay, this is nice. I'm going to give you more of me. I'll give you 25% of me. And I say it's like an exchange. It has to be matched until it gets higher and higher and higher so that you're both giving each other 100%, not
mm,
one giving 100% and the other just taking it. Because if you're in that
yes,
type of situation, start looking at your situation because it's not right. It's not healthy.
mm, mm. Yeah, so it's and even by just coming for a chakra balance with us, just to flush through the energy, to
Yep.
try and get new energy in. It's like giving you new blood or new life force to
Yes.
start to make positive changes. And
Yes. And it,
I often give these people homework. Okay, so in the next 4 weeks, this is your homework I want you to do. Because our brains take, or our neuro pathways take about 28 days to form a new habit. So, mm,
Yeah, and I always give my customers homework, and it could just be a case of write down when you feel this way, or if you feel this way, I want you to go and do this or this, so that you're
mm,
distracting your mind, so that you can sort of push it out of your mind. Okay, and
yeah,
that's what they all start to do. So it's a very interesting topic. We've just scratched the surface, but we've given you some tools to already, help yourself. Breathing, the pink balloon, Joe. I love the pink balloon idea. Feeling all the beautiful pink balloon, which is love, filling it with all the negativity and toxicity, and you're
yeah,
releasing it to Archangel Michael. See you later. You take it, mate. Breathe,
yeah,
ground, start changing your way you see the world. Your perceptions need
yes,
to shift, they need to be different. Come and see us for a balance, and we can give you a balance and a clean out of the heaviness that you're holding. That's
yeah,
that's easily done, and you'll walk away already feeling lighter. And then we can give you some tips and tools to help you move beyond that. You can use oracle cards. You can use Joe's book. Why am I feeling this way today? What do I need to know, universe? Open the page. Thank you. That's exactly what I need to know. These are little
yeah,
tools that you can help you move beyond that. So then anything that's below you, children, whatever, they don't have to suffer the same way that you are.
No, never. That's what we
Love
want.
it.
We want a better world. Sit in our light
Correct,
truck.
Joe. Correct. Correct. So that's our discussion on sabotage. Now, guys, a quick announcement that on September 17, we're doing a live on YouTube. So if you haven't
Yes,
subscribed already, Charles and Joe Show on YouTube, and I want you to like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share, and all of that stuff, so that we can build a community of spiritual people that want to help each other, and we can help rise up, we can evolve together, and that's why we're doing our podcast, isn't it, Joe? We're wanting people to live.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. We're making a little difference.
We are, we are. And if you haven't got Joe's book yet, please head to her website, joanneplater.com.au. Her book is still there. You can order the book. It'll come straight out now because the pre-orders are complete. But we're going to discuss the book in a week or so, aren't we, Joe?
Yes.
And yeah, so grab your copy of the book. And all, I believe, what, the pre-orders have all been delivered now?
I think that today was the last day. I've got lots of people saying, "Oh, I got my book, Joe." So yes, it's exciting.
Excellent. So we'll do that
Yes.
soon too. All right, guys,
Glad.
have a great
Thank
week.
you so
Joe,
much.
thank you very much for your time. Love you long time. And we look
Love you
forward
on
to
time
seeing
too.
everybody next week.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.